So I think that today, as we already discussed, we'll be talking about lifestyle diseases, and I am going to be the main host and also the presenter, but inputs from you will be quite necessary to make the discussion lively. So I will do a quick presentation. I'll do a quick presentation, and then following the presentation, we can have our discussion, right? Can you see my screen? All right, so our discussion will be centered on an overview of lifestyle diseases. Lifestyle diseases are also sometimes referred to as non-communicable diseases, although not all non-communicable diseases are lifestyle diseases. And even within the list of lifestyle diseases, there are some which have genetic predispositions, so they might not necessarily be out of lifestyle, but also a certain aspect of our lifestyle can contribute to those diseases. And today we'll look at what are lifestyle diseases. We have a definition for it and then the examples of the diseases. We will look at the general causes of these diseases, and then we will follow it through with the global disease burden, the distribution, people affected and dying out of these diseases. We'll look at the general prevention and control measures, and then a conclusion for this first overview presentation. Now let's zoom in. So lifestyle diseases, per the name, suggests that they are diseases that one can acquire or suffer from because of lifestyle or how we live our lives, right? Also known as non-communicable disease, they are primarily caused by daily habits and practices that lead to health complications. And as you can see the flow diagram here, there are a number of these diseases listed, and one is heart disease, coronary heart diseases. We have stroke here. We have diabetes also featured prominently, obesity, metabolic syndrome, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and also some forms of cancers. And like I said, these are diseases prominently induced by the lifestyle of people being inactive or whatever it is. And so today we will not dive deep into each of these diseases because our subsequent presentations will focus on each individual lifestyle disease, and the detailed information about them will be presented for common good and to help better our health. All right. To continue, we will look at the general causes of lifestyle diseases. Although we're going to talk about general causes, it doesn't necessarily mean that any of these causes would result in all the previously mentioned lifestyle diseases. For example, some activities or some indulgence pertain to specific predisposition to a specific disease. So let's start with air pollution. Air pollution, be it local environment or urban environment or wider environment, air pollutions from treatment tanks and incendiary centers are a bigger source of lifestyle diseases. Urbanization has contributed to pollution from vehicles, from industries and all those stuff, and these are quite a major factor in non-communicable diseases, or what we refer to as lifestyle diseases in this discussion. Second is excessive alcohol, and excessive alcohol has been identified to contribute a lot to some form of cancers and diabetes and etc. Smoking, coronary heart diseases, and pulmonary obstructive diseases are as a result of smoking. And when we talk about smoking, we're not talking about even just the first person involved in the smoking, but also people who are exposed to secondary smoking. That is, if you are a non-smoker, however, you are always exposed to the smoke from a smoker, you become predisposed, or you stand the chance of getting affected by lifestyle diseases that smokers suffer. So we have to watch out. We might not be smoking actively, but if we have a neighbor or we are always in company of people who are smoking and we are inhaling the smoke from them, we can suffer the same disease just as those who are actively smoking. And we talk about inactive lifestyle or sedentary life. These days, urbanization, commercialization, and remote work and all those stuff have made life quite easy that you can sit at the comfort of your room and have everything you want. You can order food and it can be delivered at your doorstep and stuff. So people become inactive and they don't make conscious effort to be able to exercise, get active, walk, take walks, hit the gym, do something that keep them active. As a result, obesity, blood sugar increasing, and a plethora of diseases are emerging out of a sedentary lifestyle. And then finally, poor diet or low quality diet. Sometimes diet can be food can be seen as very appetizing and attractive, but how is that going to affect your health? High carbohydrate foods with less fiber, carbonated drinks, they fill your hunger and thirst immediately. But these have dire consequences on your health, and excessive consumption can really impact your life and promote all the lifestyle diseases I mentioned previously. So, one thing is that if you know the cause of your disease or the factors that can put you in a situation of lifestyle disease, then you know exactly what to do in order to ensure that you are in good health. So it is important to know the activities or the things that can cause lifestyle diseases to manifest in one's life. And now a little bit of some statistics or some facts about lifestyle diseases. There were times that people will talk about diabetes as the disease of the rich people. But these days, the statistics and from the World Health Organization show that everybody is at risk. Everybody, irrespective of your geography or where you are located or your age or your sex, everyone is at risk of getting affected by a lifestyle disease. When we sum up all the deaths that happen globally in a year, 74% of those deaths come as a result of lifestyle diseases. So what this means is that if we have 100 people who are dying a year, or if we take 100 people who die in a year, 74 of them are dying because of the diseases we have listed: diabetes, respiratory diseases, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, obesity, metabolic syndrome, and all those. They are contributing to more than half, maybe more than 3 times, almost 3 times, or 3/4 of all diseases in the world. Sorry, all deaths in the world. And that amounts to 41 million deaths per annum. And then when you take this 41 million who are dying from lifestyle diseases every year, 17 million are dying at age less than 70 years, which means that lifestyle diseases is not limited to only the aged, those who are above 70. No, people from 17 to under 70 are getting sick from lifestyle diseases and they are dying as a result of lifestyle diseases. And what is fascinating is that 17 million people who are dying from lifestyle diseases below age 70, 86 of them are coming from low middle income countries, developing countries. So Africa is involved, certain part of Asia and Latin America are involved. 86% of people from this background are dying from lifestyle diseases. So it is important to understand how widespread this disease is, these diseases are, and the fact that nobody is immune against suffering from lifestyle diseases based on their background, based on their geography, or whatever it is. Sometimes certain diets from these localities promote one or more of these lifestyle diseases. For example, in Africa, we consume a lot of carbohydrates, and at a certain stage, too much consumption of carbohydrates is detrimental to one's health. And that is why we can see that we may not directly be eating raw sugar and all those stuff, but there is still higher records of lifestyle diseases or deaths resulting from lifestyle diseases in Africa or low middle income countries. And then of all the mentioned lifestyle diseases, cardiovascular diseases account for the most deaths, which is 17.9 million people dying from cardiovascular diseases annually. That includes also hypertension or high blood pressure and all those things. And like I said, we will dive deep in our subsequent discussions on specific diseases and how to protect ourselves or how to prevent these situations. And then we mentioned a number of lifestyle diseases, but four prominent ones which contribute to 80% of all premature lifestyle diseases there are diseases, some cancers, respiratory diseases, and then diabetes. So cancer, 90 million people are dying annually from cancer, 17.9 from cardiovascular disease, 3.8 million from respiratory diseases, and then diabetes, almost 2 million people dying annually. And all these are statistics from the organization as of 2023. Prevention, general prevention and control. First of all, we have to, like I said, identify the risk factors, and we have to reduce our exposure to those risk factors. So like I indicated about the causes, if it's causing too much pollutions and stuff, what we can do for ourselves is probably inhabit places which are probably peri-urban. We will not be exposed to air pollution so much, right? Excessive drinking alcohol, something we can take personal responsibilities for, and reduce alcohol intake. We cannot stop at all. We've talked about smoking, sedentary lifestyle. You have to be active, exercise a lot, and burn calories, and this will help to prevent one's chance of getting affected by lifestyle. Health education and sensitization. Sometimes people act out of ignorance without knowing the health consequences of their actions. It's easy to lay in your bed everything and you think that you have a comfortable life, but in the long run, you are going to suffer health consequences. So it's important to educate people about the need for exercise, the need of getting active, the need for eating proper diets. And we can do this through campaigns. We can even inculcate this in educational programs or curriculums, etc., to make people aware where they will probably take charge of their health by doing the right things. And then finally, we have to also look at early detection of the disease, diagnosis, screening, and then treatment. And then collective healthcare will be very important. Palliative care will be important in controlling and managing people with lifestyle diseases. To conclude, I think the basis of this presentation is to make people aware of how research findings can be quite useful to one's health and to instill and inculcate the basics of protecting oneself against lifestyle disease because, like we said, lifestyle diseases, per their names, are emanating from our lifestyle, and our lifestyles are something that we can change. So, I want to end with the quotation from Dalai Lama, who was asked about what surprised him most. And his answer was that man surprises him most. And his reasons are because man will sacrifice his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die and then dies having never really lived. So you see, sometimes we are so much caught up in the our economic activities, in our to make money and live good life at the expense of our health. And when we have issues with health, all the money that we sacrifice our health for, we try to use them to recover our health. And that is sad reality. Sometimes it's not because people want to sacrifice their health for money, but it's because of the lack of knowledge that people perishes. So knowing the fact that our health should be a topmost priority in our lives will go a long way to help improve our lives. And I hope that this presentation would help someone adjust their life in a way that they can stay, if not completely disease free, at least they will minimize their risk of getting affected by lifestyle diseases. Thank you very much. So yeah, guys, I think that that's the end of my presentation. And if we have any contributions or comments, and really talk about your contributions and comments.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. It was well done. So during your presentation, you made mention of some causes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lifestyle disease, and then there were like air pollution, sedentary lifestyle, poor diet, and I couldn't. I realized that something can control, some things we cannot control.
Yeah.
So, for example, air pollution is something that individually, I'm not saying we can control air pollution by doing less pollution individually, like by driving electric cars, which I mean, not everyone can afford. But
Mm-hmm.
on the societal sense, it's difficult for us to control actually how much pollution is in the system. So how do you propose we deal with issues? Do we walk around with masks every time to prevent pollution?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and it's quite intellectual, and I agree with you that to some extent. And I will start from a place where you're familiar with, right? You have been in Europe, you have lived, know that in Europe they have certain rules and regulations to minimize air pollutions from vehicles and from industries, right? You cannot go beyond a certain limit. But in Africa, you may be driving in the street and you will see a car with a lot of fumes coming from their exhaust and all stuff.
Mhm,
We burn stuff anywhere. Here they have a specific place and chambers for is it incineration?
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for burning and all the stuff. And these are very much regulated. So probably this might not be step take, but stakeholders, policymakers should try to use policies, rules, and regulations and laws to address the amount of um, pollution or toxic gases that are developing countries, right? And the thing I said about this air pollution, we might not be able to control it in the general level. For example, if I have to use a city like Lagos or Abuja, for example, personally, I be, because I know about this, if I establish myself, I will probably look at a place away from the urban city because most of the pollutions are coming from the urban cities due to
Yeah.
industrialization and the excessive use of vehicles and all this, right? So if you think your health is paramount and important to you, and they're not doing anything to minimize air pollution and sound pollution, whatever it is, you may want to find yourself a place where these things are limited. Okay.
Okay, that's nice. And I have one final question. So, what's in your presentation that it's like almost, I think more than 80% where these diseases happen in low and middle income countries, which like mostly Africa, Asia, and some countries. So, you know about Africa, like we tout our foods, right? We say we have are not as bad as the fast foods that are in the West and other countries. So, would you attribute that to the environmental stuff like the air pollution, the noise pollution, more than that? Do you think that maybe the diet is still contributing much more heavily than the other environmental stuff?
All right, so I will clarify. It's not that 80% of the diseases are happening in Africa, not more than 80% are happening in low middle income countries. Rather, 84% of people who are dying from age under age 70. I mentioned that 17 million people are dying from these diseases under age 70.
Right.
Right. And out of this 17 million, 84% happening in low middle income countries. And the 17 is only fraction of the 41 million which is dying globally. So the global statistics show that, for example, certain lifestyle diseases are prominent in certain areas. For cancer and obesity, America is topping, right? But when you come to diabetes and probably cardiovascular diseases, Africa and then Asia and Latin America are topping. So probably yes, I think our diet is contributing factor. And I said Africans and these developing countries, we tend to eat more carbohydrates. Probably when we are young and we are eating carbohydrates, we are very active and doing more manual work. So we burn the carbohydrates and use them doing the manual activities, right? But when we are aging, our metabolism is reducing and become less active. And when we become less active and we are consuming the same amount of carbohydrates, there's a high tendency that they will be retained in our blood and then eventually cause hyperglycemia, which is also known as type 2 and stuff. There are different types of diabetes, but we can go into that. So it can also be environmental factors, like you said. And as I said, some lifestyle diseases also have some genetic predisposition. So you have the genes that predisposes you there, and you complement it with the environmental factors like food, like exposure to toxic elements and stuff, then it makes the disease manifest in one's life. So yeah, and when we talk about environment, actually it's involved. Anything outside genetics, which is within us, is environmental. So it could be water, it could be food, it could be lack of exercise and all those things. Yeah. And while in Europe, if you may even walk parks where they have structures and facilities for fitness and exercising, you go to Africa and you don't see those things. And people don't even make conscious effort to do that. So this could be,
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. In addition to Enoch's question, let me. That was a wonderful presentation, and it's good we are having this discussion because we find out a time that deaths and then the sicknesses that comes from this lifestyle are almost significantly unbearable. But to the question that Enoch asked on particularly why that high percentage of this lifestyle diseases could be traced to low middle income countries, I think the usage of low middle income countries itself is an answer of a sort, because in Africa here where we are, there is a saying that poverty being a disease, not just for the mere of it, but the mere fact you don't have certain resources to undertake certain things, it may lead you in contracting some of these lifestyle diseases. An example is the diet-related issues. If you don't have money to get the balance, the right quantity of protein source, the right quantity of all the other nutrients that you need. I mean, from the word go, it means you are deficient and are likely to contract lifestyle disease. But my search also is why these low middle income countries greatly is that are also they have also limited access to healthcare services. I mean, disease about also going about regular checkup facilities to check your vitals frequently, to know your level and to advise yourself and know how best to stay healthy. But because there's limited healthcare services, and in some cases, lack of education, and people don't even value these healthcare services in their own life. This all culminates into the many diseases that the lifestyles bring to us. And so, yes, the poverty, the prevalence of the lifestyle that actually brings up these diseases is also very, very pronounced. And so these are things, especially those of us who find ourselves in those parts of the continent, to be mindful of. I mean, we say that life is everything. And so if we value anything more than life, life will leave us on the way and miss those as well. So it is important that healthcare services taken seriously, and the limited services that we have, we use and utilize them very well, so that certain no really.
Saying that, so is it because like those in LMICs are more because of the healthcare, like how to manage the disease? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think I agree with you also. Management of disease is another thing, and exactly like you talked about the death, right? And even people younger are dying from the disease. That it has something to do with disease management in total, because the other countries, they have the healthcare systems that are super well structured. They have the facilities and probably the affordabilities, at least manage the disease to extend people's life, right? But in middle income countries, we don't have the resources, the health facilities and stuff. So yes,
I think it would be, I don't know whether we will have data, but I think it would be nice to know at what age like people are diagnosed with those diseases, so that we can see if, because it could be that the reason why more people less 70 are dying in LMICs is because they are dying early. So it could be that actually more people in Western have it, but they kind of are able to carry it past 70 years. And so it seems like, you guys, but if we know how that the year in which the age, sorry, by which people get the disease, and we know, okay, maybe it affects younger people more in LMICs than it affects people in. I don't know whether that data is available, but we can try to find it.
We'll have to find it, and also because I was saying that between those who are under 70 years are between 17 years and that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like I agree with you, the life expectancy for LMICs are less than the life expectancies in developed countries. Even during the coronavirus stuff, if you paid attention, you see that there were a lot of people dying in Italy, right? But majority of them were 90 years and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And here, if you are dying, or let's say they will say you are young, because people are dying after 80 and stuff. And if not accident or something like that. And then also say can be attributed to somewhat the proper health systems and hospitals and clinics they have here. I'm not talking about personnel, because I think that we may have the excellent personnel in LMICs or low middle income countries, but the resources, the facilities to use might be lacking. So there's limited stuff they can do. So life expectancy is generally low, and also probably arising from some of the things we don't know about how to take our into our own hands. And education is also probably key, because I met people in Europe where they know that certain time of the day, certain amount of carb is not good, and they know how much protein. Meet people who are very conscious of how much calories they're eating per day. They have skills to even measure the daily intake of. They know, for example, if they're going to take oats, they know how much carbs are in oats. They weigh a certain scale and know how much they are supposed to consume per day to get that calories. So they don't go beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
I to be honest, I even at my age, I know much about some of this stuff. So I just consume till I'm full, and it didn't even matter what time of day. I became quite conscious about that. So factors work against
Like people in other
yes, the
Yeah.
developing countries. Yes, exactly. So it might not just one factor, it can be multiple, like the healthcare systems not having the right resources to manage the disease to extend life, and then the lack of education on taking our health into our own hands. And like I said, I don't know if in Norway there were public parks where you can find gym facilities and stuff that you can exercise. Here you can walk and then you see them, and they even create places to run and all those. So all these are conscientizing people to exercise on this. In Africa, even where you have a park, people are cutting the trees and want to build higher for fashion and for whatever it is. So you are so consumed about weight issues, material things and stuff that to some extent don't even look at the health implications of some of the initiatives. Cutting our forest trees and all those stuff for money at the expense of good quality air to breathe are all factors. So like you said, a number of factors, and I agree with the health sector issues, because there people smoke here a lot.
Yeah.
People smoke a lot in Europe, but you can see somebody as old as 85 and they are smoking, right? As old as smoking strong. And sometimes I wonder why. And by the time you realize this person is always monitoring their health, they are going to checkups and a whole lot of things, and they know some stuff. They are also exercising and all that. And I have heard people talk about somebody who smokes and exercises has a higher chance of living longer than somebody who doesn't smoke and doesn't exercise. So
Yeah.
you may think that you are not smoking safe, but you are not exercising, and that is and you are at risk of living shorter than the person who smokes and exercises.
Okay, so it means that some of the activities can counteract something. So, for example, like exercising can counteract smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So,
by doing the stuff, you kind of limit the effects of the bad stuff, right?
exactly. We should also look at it from the perspective that, so if we take two people, one who is smoking and exercising, and one who is not smoking but not exercising, the one who is smoking and exercising might live longer, all things being equal, than the one who is not smoking and not exercising. But if we take two people, one who is smoking and exercising and one who is not smoking and exercising, the one who is not smoking and exercising would have extended life than the one who
Yeah.
is smoking and exercising.
Right.
So that is the context I want us to look at it from. So
Yeah.
you don't just say that I am exercising, so it's okay. But yeah, I understand
Yeah. I was also thinking of not I was thinking of it in smoking space. I was thinking like, let's say if you're in a place where air is a problem,
Mhm.
then you have to make a conscious effort to exercise more, to eat better, to
Yes.
like to kind of
Yes.
limit the effect of the pollution and that was what I was thinking. But yeah, I
Yeah,
understand you're okay.
that is also very true.
Yeah.
Because trust me, this active also help us to excrete some toxics for it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, all this build up in you, and a lot of things, lipid, high lipids content, and all that. Yeah.
That's nice. That's interesting.
I also want to add that this lifestyle that we are talking about, the conditions that predisposes us are not just one of them. So that maybe you are doing 1, 2, 3 may give you a higher chance of contracting the disease than somebody who is engaged in just one or not doing it at all. So it is a whole mix of a complex. For instance, the issue of smoking and not smoking. If you are smoking and you exercise, it may not, the smoker, the exercises may not necessarily take the effect of smoking from him. But the other things he's doing, like the exercise, they are like immune boosters. So it extends the immunity of the person, like that, even though the smoking is there, but he's able to somehow survive it, and then it's not quickly that it would have actually taken effect if the other preventive stuffs were not being done, like the exercises and the other. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
I get it. And let me add that he's smoking and exercising, so he's not likely not to have the cardiovascular aspect, right? And he's likely not to be obese, which could all be in one person. But because he's exercising, he's probably preventing himself from cardiovascular heart diseases or cardiovascular diseases, and also obesities. So if somebody is not smoking and not exercising, the person is prone to cardiovascular disease, is prone to obesity, it's also prone to diabetes and stuff. But this person probably would be prone to only respiratory because of the smoking and not the other diseases. So if you have multiple of these, somebody who have diabetes, hypertension and stuff, the probability, if not well managed, the probability of that dying early is higher than the person who has only probably respiratory disease, but also exercising and managing it somehow,
And then also to the question of the market that tend to experience disease higher, we may get some statistics, but I want to even say that what your statistics give, the one you in your presentation, saying that those that are contracting this lifestyle disease is from 17 upward. I want to even say that when it comes to the diet-related ones, it even extends to the infants. I mean, a disease like kwashiorkor is lifestyle disease, and it is prevalent in some parts of the world, Africa specific. It's diet-related. It's a lifestyle disease. And so the specific one that you are saying, if it is diet-related, then in our parts of the world, the diet aspect even brings the children at infant stage to be exposed to those kind of, depending on what they are doing or not doing in terms of their diet.
All right. That's very much well said, and I agree with you. So we are saying that we are not far from getting affected by lifestyle diseases, but a good of the causes or an awareness of what we need to do to save ourselves from such situation will go a long way to promote good health practices, like good lifestyle practices that can help improve our health and help us prevent lifestyle diseases. If anyone has something more to say or question or suggestions, they are all welcome.
Yeah, my remarks as we are about ending, all this news that we are talking about is simply put our actions and inactions, the results of our actions and inactions on the fact that it is our actions and inactions. It means we can always do something about it, provided we want to be conscious about it. And because there is high prevalence of disease and deaths related to this, it is for us to be conscious about certain. One of the things that you don't need money, you don't need so much to do is even the intake of water. I mean, the mere fact that you need to take 8 glasses of water a day, that consciousness alone is able to give you some immunity to some of the diseases that might come your way, because mind you, the body is made up of close to 70% of water. And so whenever there is inadequate water in the body, it's a matter. And then also in our local adage here, we are more or less tempted to say, painting for me, like what is most important is like filling your belly. It's not, doesn't matter so much what you're filling it with. Wrong, and that is what is killing us. If you lose fact of the importance of balanced diet, where you need to get all the nutrients, then definitely you're exposing yourself to these lifestyle diseases. And the unfortunate thing is that elsewhere, people are being more conscious about the fact that junk food, fatty foods are detrimental. Now, part of the world, junk food sometimes is what people glorify and think that is a food for those that are well to do, and even though they are it's killing them, but they feel a pride of some of this junk food, which is quite deadly. And so we should look at that. We should learn more towards fruits and vegetables aside all the nuts that should be taken, because that is what prevents us against the disease. This is basic for everybody, whether low or middle income. This is just basic information that will help you to survive the challenges of this lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enoch, do you have to say?
I'm just this next. I really want to know what do we have to do next? Are we going to pick them one by one and start talking about?
Oh yeah, before I come to your question, what I want to add to Jonathan's remarks is that sometimes we are more quick to talk about it and forget about our usual food, how they can go a long way to implicate our health, right? Or impact our health negatively. I read one article, I've forgotten exactly who, and he was assessing some Mediterranean food on how Mediterranean food impact lifestyle disease. A lot of carbohydrates, right? Spaghetti, pizza, and stuff. When you come, so sometimes the context is how much carbs are in your food, how much fiber are in your food, how much live food you consuming, like vegetables and all those stuff, right?
Yeah.
And how well they are prepared. You may not eat the pizza burgers, but if you are eating a huge chunk of pap, which is solely carbohydrate based, and just little amount of fish or something, you are also prone to these diseases because the body has a certain limit of carbs or glucose. And like I said earlier on, with time, your metabolism is declining and you are not also active enough. So these two work against your glucose absorption and utilization. So excess glucose will stay in your blood and you become diabetic. Do not lose focus on also the kind of food we eat. In Africa, it is very rare to see people consume vegetables than carbohydrates, and even fresh vegetables to say. Yes, we may prepare vegetables in the form of soup and all those stuff, but fresh vegetables are way different from how to say it, the cooked soups and stuff. I'm not saying our foods are not good or whatever it is. Said balanced diet and also focusing on some fruits and vegetables. People don't take conscious effort to even eat fruits because fruits have fibers and stuff, and they aid also in the metabolism of glucose or carbohydrate in the system. So if you take raw sugar, I will talk about sugar and probably salt at different times. Because sometimes when we're talking about substance addiction and stuff, we don't talk about sugar, right? But sugar can be very addictive, and it is one of the major causes several lifestyle diseases. But when the time comes, we will delve deep into that. So yes, subsequently, we will take them one by one. Probably I'm going to start with my favorite topic, which is diabetes. And with diabetes, I will focus on type 2 diabetes, which is small, or less easy to manage and to prevent than the type 1, which is more genetic and very difficult to manage. So if you ask about what next or where next to go, we can talk details about diabetes hopefully next week, and then we can take it up from there. So we should prepare ourselves for that.
Wait.
Thank you. All right, so thank you for your audience and for your participation. It has been quite an interesting journey and discussion and insightful. I hope that our listeners are going to make a lot out of this presentation and the comments and the remarks and steps to improve their health and follow for subsequent how to say, presentations or discussion about our health.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you too for that wonderful presentation, for hosting us.
You're welcome. So let's meet again next week. Until then, bye to everyone.
Bye. Yeah, Enoch, stay behind.